All right. Hopefully this thing is working. But this is officially the first ZZX or ZZX or ZZX or ZZX.
I think you just got to pick one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like switching it up. People get real upset about it. The official podcast for ZZX Digital, we'll go with the Canadian term on this one. If you don't know me, my name is Jacob. And along with me is Kyle, who is basically the right-hand man at the company. Your job description has changed so many times now.
I was gonna say, like, I don't know what you want to call me. Just guy that does things.
I realize that, like, even on my own business card doesn't even say like owner; it says marketing manager. I'm like, I should probably change that.
Probably.
I should probably change that at some point. But yeah, if you guys, obviously everybody's new here because this is the first episode. So essentially what we hope this is going to be just marketing for drivers and businesses in the automotive and racing space. Will it stay like that? I have no idea. It might completely devolve into just absolute bullshit, but that's the plan. So on today's episode, hopefully the things at least I know we want to get to, talk about Black Friday, Cyber Monday, talk about PRI. This one's specifically for drivers, some quick tips, tricks. We had a course that happened last night, so we'll go over some of that stuff, but make sure to keep an eye on our socials for more courses like that. And then talk about the newest Gymkhana video. I know it's old news, but I don't think it got talked about enough. Like, obviously it blew up, but I don't think it got talked about enough. So yeah. All right, let's dive into Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Did you end up buying anything this year out of curiosity?
I did.
What'd you get?
I did. I ordered a new capture card, which is
funny. Okay.
So it's not coming in for a couple of days. That's why
Is it USB based or is it PCI based?
It's a USB based, the EVGA capture card.
So, okay. Yeah. What was the discount by chance?
I think after everything, it was like 34%, something like that.
Okay. So that's at least a decent one. Cause like, I think,
like an actual discount, not the 5%. Yeah.
It was tough. I remember looking on Amazon at something and like, it was 1% off. I'm like, why are you even putting this in here? So,
no, but that seemed to be the theme though, like of a lot of people where they call it a discount, but like it's 5% or 10%. And that doesn't really get people's blood pumping too much. That's when it's less than what the taxes are. I mean, it's kind of hard to call it a sale really, right? Like,
yeah. I think at an absolute bare minimum, it's got to be save the tax. And like, I wouldn't even promote it if it wasn't that, because that's like a general one. I am a little like, obviously this year is an interesting one because we're in I'm going to call it a global slowdown. I hate the recession word.
Yeah. Slowdown.
And, looking at this, a lot of companies weren't sure how it was going to go. And one of like the key indicators before Black Friday was the second Prime Day that we had that actually didn't do very well. Like, I don't even think it did as well as the normal Prime Day. It was like behind by 15 or 20%. So it was like this weird time where everyone's like, well, what the hell do we do? And what I thought was interesting is the amount of people that started their Prime deals like super early. And I mean, obviously, for anybody who doesn't know, we do a lot of work with ECU Master and their, not their Prime deals, their Black Friday deals started on the 15th and run for a longer period of time. So that, I mean, I think that is probably one of the best ways to do it because it gives people time to have money in their pocket. They're not having to like put things aside for one specific day. And we caught them early too.
I mean, this year we had like with that use case, like we had a little bit of a strange situation where there was a product launch at the same time. So it was kind of like two advertising streams fighting each other, but it seemed to go well. Like their Black Friday deals are good. Like it's the products that they're bundling with the deals are actually worthwhile. It's stuff that you need. It's not like the 5%. Like it's at least a product that you're going to be buying anyways. So
yeah. And then obviously the 2JZ giveaway on top
like
of
that's
that,
crazy.
Which is new this year. Yeah. And in all honesty, like, that I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, that was our idea. We came up with that. That was a group discussion with, everybody at ECU Master beforehand. But like when they're like,
I was upset we didn't come up with it.
I know a little bit, but I mean, I think it's a good way of doing it. And then registering your product afterwards to get entered into it is another good way because with a company like that, they obviously have, a lot of distribution outside of just their own website. So that way now, like all the dealers, anybody who's a reseller
Yeah.
can jump in on it and use the same promotion, which is fantastic. Cause like you don't want to take that money out of their mouth, like out of their hands, not food out of their mouths is what I was going with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a good campaign, like you said, and the fact that it's running for a month, that it's, again, I guess like there's two schools of thought there where everybody wants that FOMO of a 3-day sale and get it. But in reality, a lot of people, even if they have some money set aside, they don't have all their money set aside. And for a company like ECU Master, where their products are an investment, right? I mean, it's an investment in your racing career, hopefully, but it's still $3,000 worth of stuff. So having that month to go, okay, this is the deal. Like I'm pulling the trigger, and then, having a couple weeks to get your affairs in order to buy it. And then again, on top of that, be thrown into a sweepstakes to win, God's engine, the actual
God's engine. Oh
God's
man,
engine.
there's a hot take. There's a hot take right there. But yeah, I agree. I think it realistically gives people time to decide what they're doing, time to figure out that money, and that's the other part too, is like, we're looking at this as like not the best economical time. But what was interesting is like seeing the amount of people that are doing buy now, pay later programs, and like how much that increase this year. It was up like 70 something percent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think those systems have a place. It's just like, please read the fine print and understand what you're getting yourself into as well. So
yeah, like a double-edged sword, right? Like it's way better for sales as long as the consumer educates themselves, right? And I mean, that's just.
Well, I mean, it's with any financial decision you're going to make, right? You just understand what you're getting into, what the actual cost is over time, and if you're prepared to do that and you're understanding of that, then I don't have a problem with it. So, but yeah, it was. I mean, I guess overall, like at least what I've seen on the data end of things, and I mean, if you want to talk more on the social side of things after, but everything looked like it was up. I think overall it was. If there's two different reports I was looking at, one was from Salesforce, and one of them was from Adobe, believe it or not, who actually has really good data collection. Probably listening right now.
Probably
anywhere between 7 and 9% up over last year, which is really good because that was up year over year. So we've seen growth. Now, I don't know how they put in those financing numbers into that. It's, I don't have like the full spreadsheet.
Like I was going to say, on on the social side, right? Because I track a lot of the products that are sold through the companies we deal with. I haven't seen a whole lot come up yet, but I don't know if that's just it's like people haven't received their products yet. Like typically, like last year, we'll say after Black Friday deals started, it was like 2 or 3 days later where socials were blowing up about people. Everybody wants to show off their new parts and that they got a deal, right? But it's been slower this year. But like we said, the data is showing that everything is on an uptick. So maybe people are just shy.
Hey, I mean, it could be, I mean, it could be a few different things as well. Like we've always, with everybody we've worked with, really pushed user generated content, and we've been pushing like, not to be the guys like, oh, we've been doing this for, like, we literally have though. We've been doing this as long as we've been running accounts. It's like, no, we need user generated content. It's one, like I remember when I was, I guess not in the position I'm in now, I would like post shit. And if that company even commented or liked it, I was super excited. And people are still like that. Like, yeah.
It's the easiest way for brand recognition from both sides. It's a win-win. Like there's no losing in that, right? Like
well, and if you're, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just saying, like you said, to your point, as the user, you get excited when a large company reshares your stuff, but in the same aspect, you're giving credibility to their sale. You're giving credibility to their product because it's real. It's in somebody's hand. It's in like what better marketing is there than somebody who's so excited about the product that they're saying like, hey, I need to tell all my friends. And then like I've seen it many times. Somebody will share something. The company shares it based off a hashtag or whatever. And then they're resharing their story. And it's this little wormhole. But at the end of the day, the company is just getting in front of eyes, right? Like they're getting what they want. They're getting exposure. So it's a win-win.
And I think the biggest mistake brands make when it comes to like UGC is not actually using it. It's like you need to trigger the people to do it. You need to prompt them to do it, but then you also need to reward them for doing it. Like people see it. Like don't get me wrong. It's great to share stuff from prominent drivers, sponsored drivers, celebrities, public figures, whatever you want to call them. But that's only going to do so much of a lift. Whereas if you're sharing stuff from somebody who has 500 followers or 200 followers or 1,000 followers, that lift may not see as much as an entire reach, but the interaction rate, like the actual conversion rate on comments and likes, is going to be significantly higher. So, and I mean, we've seen that on both end of things, like working with, large drivers, and we see they post something about a product and that's great. And you get a bunch of likes and comments and things on it. But if you were to take that same post and actually look at the percentage of people that saw it to comment and compare that to a smaller creator who is much more excited about that and share it,
interacting
the actual
back
percentage.
and forth, right?
That's
the biggest thing is read your comments, people, right? Like interact in there. Like that's the biggest thing, like we see with businesses too, right? Businesses and the drivers and stuff. And I know it's tough because people are busy, but there's nothing worse than seeing a full inbox of unreads, right? And
I know.
What's the point in sharing your content and getting these companies' attention if you're not going to, like continue the dialogue, which is the whole point. So
yeah, so social media is meant to be social. Like that's the whole idea, right? So, I mean, on the driver side of things too, what's interesting is, and this is, I mean, like a quick free tip for any of the drivers out there. Like if these sales are coming up, I think we made a TikTok about it as well, but like, these sales are coming up, these deals are coming up. And right now, like there's going to be holiday deals that come up coming, I mean, we're already planning a lot of them. I had a meeting today about a bunch of them. And it's like, reach out to the companies that you're sponsored by or companies that you've even just bought parts from and be like, hey, do you need content for holiday deals? Like, it's already snowing where I live. I can take a photo of your wheels in the snow or something. Or like, it's such a really small thing, but the cost of content is so high for brands. Like if they have to bring in a photographer to do that and do all that stuff, that's incredibly expensive. Whereas if you're just going to do it, people are like, oh, it's just a cell phone pic. And it's like, you know what this can do is insane. And yeah, it's just like, it's such a small thing. And especially on your end of things, like
I was just about to say, like, you're all the stuff you're saying is that's what makes my job easy. And guess what? If my job is easier, like there's 1,000 of me out there, the guy behind all these big brands, he's going to share your content if it's easy. If I have to dig for something, okay, there's something to be said about amazing post, something that looks great that features a product. But if I have to go digging to make sure that this person actually bought the product, they didn't just tag us in a really nice picture, and I have to go that deep, at some point, is the juice worth the squeeze? There's 10,000 other ones to go through, so it goes to the back burner. So if people are reaching out and saying like, hey, can I help with this? Or I know that you're doing a Christmas promotion. It just, like you said, it just snowed. Here's a picture of my wheels. I would go, wow, great. That's a post for next week. And this guy just got shared over top of maybe an influencer because it was easier to get their content, right? Because so many times even from larger drivers and stuff, we don't get the content until it's stale dated, right? Like it's almost like it's too late to use. You can't use a fall picture in the middle of winter kind of thing, right? So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I think that's just an important tip for anybody is like, if you buy a product and you want that brand to feature you, make sure that you can prove that you bought the product. Like, don't just tag it. And like, it's so frustrating because it's like, look, this is a really cool build. Dude, I know. I mean, I literally, what you're doing now, I did for a while. And it's like, it used to drive me crazy. I'm like, this is such a cool build, but I can't prove that you bought the product. Like just anything, like anything.
I have another pro tip. If you're going to be taking a picture of a product that you want reshared and featured, please just try and not have a competitor directly beside it, unless you're comparing it saying this one's better than that one. If you're going to get Ford to reshare, you probably don't want to have a Corvette next to your Mustang, right?
It's such a small thing. Or even like, I know people are like, oh, look at the haul. And it's like, look at all the stuff I got. And that's cool. But there's no way that's going to get reshared. And this is something we've talked about so many, it can't. We've talked about this so many times, like, especially when it comes to like posting and tagging stuff. It's like, if you tag all these brands, if you have all these brands in this photo, there's a very good chance that competitor or another company, like even if it's something like tire, wheels and suspension, right? your suspension might be owned by one brand conglomerate, and then your wheels are owned by another brand conglomerate. And you're like, oh, don't worry, they're not competing. Well, yeah, they are, because both of those conglomerates both have wheels and suspension. So you're actually facing them off against each other. So like, unless you are fully aware of like the tree that is, you know, the automotive world right now, which basically is like two trunks, one being like Holley and one being Wheel Pros. Unless you are fully
Right.
aware of how that all breaks down, like you've got to, like, it's not going to get shared. And obviously there's cases where it might, but it's like, just do a really nice standalone post. Highlight the product, talk about the features, talk about what you like about it. That's it. Like, it's a really simple formula.
Separate posts, highlight them both, right? Like it's no, it's one of those things that drives me crazy. Like you'll come across this like amazing content because people are getting so creative and so good with their content that when I see something that is stunning, it's like, I have to reshare this. Like, it caught my attention and I look at this stuff all day long. And then you're like, I just can't. Like the bosses at the company that we're representing are going to say, there's no way that I'm not paying money to promote a competitor. And that's how you have to look at it. Right.
Even a poster in the background. That's one all the time where it's like, oh, I've got all these flags hung up in my garage. And it's like, you take a photo and there's like a competitor in the background. Like, I don't know how many times I've seen that.
Every time.
Dino shops every time.
Yeah. Dino shops. Yeah. Every dino video. It's like, you have to eagle eye, man. I'm zooming in.
I know. Look, at dino shops, do us all a favor. Hang those from the ceiling. Like,
where we
super
can't see
high
them.
up in the rafters. If you could just do that for us, you'd make our lives a lot easier. But I mean, realistically, like kind of bring it back to the Black Friday, Cyber Monday thing is like, now that you know this, if you've ordered car parts, like take what we just said and run with it. Because right now is when we're all going to be hunting for content for like holiday deals. Like, we're going to need that. We're going to need that for ads. We're going to need that for social. We're going to need that for websites, landing pages, emails. And, you know, if you want to even go one step further, even if you're not sponsored by this company, and like, I know a lot of people are going to be upset with this, but even if you are not sponsored by that company and you just bought their product, put together like a quick little photo shoot and be like, hey, I really like your product. Thank you so much for it. Here are the shots that I got. Please feel free to utilize these however you want to. Because now you've just taken that marketing team or that third-party marketing team and you've just made their lives so much easier. And then when you apply for a sponsorship or you hit them up later,
I was just about to bring that up.
This guy hooked us up huge.
You've talked about it so many times in the TikToks that hopefully the viewers have noticed that you want to get a rapport with the marketing guys because that's your first way in. Sorry, you're not going to go to the president of a company. He doesn't know who you are. He doesn't care. Your in is with the marketing guys, talk to them, make their lives easier, build a rapport. And that's how you're going to make it a lot easier if you do have to want to apply for a sponsorship later on. He's going to go, oh man, this guy, every time he buys products, he sends me a bunch of photos. If we sponsor him, obviously he's going to be promoting our product properly and he's not just here for a free ride, right? So,
yeah, I mean, it's almost like, you know, apprenticing at a tattoo shop or something like that. Like, yeah, you're going to do a little bit of work for free in exchange for whatever else that comes in after, you know, stage at a kitchen or whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm not saying like do this for years and years and years, but like, same thing, like even right now, I mean, I guess transitioning into the next topic, like doing that now right before PRI and then going and meeting that brand and like having a contact already.
Being top of mind, dude, you can't buy that, right? You can't buy that interaction where when you meet somebody and they're like, hey, wait a second. I mean, don't spam inboxes, but
but like, I think the biggest thing in this goes with like PRI or SEMA or interacting with brands anywhere is like, remember that this is someone's job. They're at work. And if you can make their work easier, they are going to love you so much. Like, they're going to be so much more excited to work with you and want to work with you. If you make their job more difficult, it's just not going to happen. Like, it doesn't take much. This is why, like, even just, you know, back when I used to do like bulk fuel sales, like bringing coffee to the guys on a cold day, like, it's such a small thing. It costs the company what, $20? Or like one of those big Tim's Take 10s. There's a bunch of Americans that have no idea what the hell I'm talking about. I think Duncan probably had it. It's like literally like a giant box of coffee that is like 10 medium coffees. But like, we'd show up with one of those and it's like, it's such a small thing. And there's also this we talked about this in the class last night as well, but like there's this intrinsic connection between smell and taste and memory.
Yeah.
And like, this is like a super deep psychological thing, but it's like, if they can equate you to some sort of smell or taste or something like that, it's so much more. Like, it just means so much more.
It just makes you more memorable, right? Like,
yeah,
it's so funny how far the small gestures go. And last year PRI was my first time going, but I saw that. You saw that going around, even with us, right? Like people that I had minimal interactions with, but we had interactions leading up to it. They're like, hey, I know you from X, Y, and Z, and I'd never met them before. And that sparks a conversation. And like I said, if you're going to make connections, PRI is the place to go. Like that's where it's going to happen.
And like on that note, I mean, what if you had to pick like one thing that you remember from that trip? What was it?
If I had to pick one thing,
yeah, I hope you picked the thing I'm thinking of.
I mean, geez, I don't want to say brands, right? Like,
okay. No, I know. Cause I know you're going to be like, oh, Cletus's cars, like seeing Ruby in the flesh was probably up there.
Well,
but
of course, right. Like seeing that stuff and I took a picture of him for my daughter. She's actually a huge fan and is super funny. And I had a conversation with him about it, but just that sort of stuff, being able to relate to, right. Like being able to, because to him, that's his job, walking around and taking pictures with people and taking an extra minute to not just be the, hey, can you take a picture with me guy? Actually spent whatever 5 minutes talking with him. Right. So.
Yeah. What I was hoping you were going to say was the steak dinner, but anyways.
Well, the steak dinner was great, but I mean.
Yeah. But I mean, and this is something I've said, I don't know how many times, but it's like the deals aren't like made at PRI or like in the boardroom. Like they're made
That's true.
Afterwards. Like there's a reason why you bring people to a dinner. Like it's because now you have this situation where you have something that you can both share as some sort of core memory, and food is a really, really good one. I mean, go back to most of your memories, there's going to be food or drink somewhere involved in it that you could reference. And it gives you this unified thing that you can converse over. And it's a good, break up in conversation. Like you don't want to be talking business the whole time, but like steak comes out and like, cool, now you can break from conversation and talk about this thing. Like
breaks the ice, right? Like it's an easy in. I was going to say actually the deli for me was better
Shapiro's?
that way. Because I didn't know, Dove, right? And that's where we got to sit down and meet, and like where it's not just, hey, this is the person that runs this business. It's just like hey, we met you at the sandwich shop and you start talking about whatever. And like, I learned more about our clients at that sandwich shop than all year long.
In like 1 hour. Cause it was me, you, AJ from Lake Erie Speedway, Dove, who owns Envy Auto, and his wife. And it was like, dude, it was great. We sat there for, probably 2 hours.
But it was like a good brainstorming session too, right? Between, somebody who knows the tracks a lot and somebody, exactly. Yeah. So it was great. We're definitely going back this year, I would hope.
So the plan is right now, and it's for anybody listening, if you are going to PRI, we're going to do Shapiro's Deli, I think on Saturday at like 3:00. And then you and I'll probably head out from there.
Yeah.
But quick shameless plug. If you are listening to this and you're not in our Discord, definitely hop into it. There's links. There'll be links everywhere. Check our socials for it. Link in bio stuff. But yeah, there's a whole channel called PRI. Go in there. That's where we're going to have like all the conversations for meetups and stuff. I think the morning we get in, we're going to do coffee with everybody and do like a quick little pep talk. A couple of the guys are kind of nervous after we had the conversation last night. And I said, cool, like just hang out with us then. Like spend 10 minutes, spend 15 minutes. We'll make an introduction. Like I'll find somebody that I know and just be like, here, this is this guy. I got to run, but this will get you started. And I mean, I think that's a good, same thing talking about PRI. Like if you are nervous about going and approaching those brands, like start with somebody you already know. And if you don't know somebody, I used to do this in sales all the time, call somebody you know and just have a conversation. Call your wife, call your kids, call your whoever.
Just to be comfortable.
Yeah, just walk around the show on your phone. Like it might seem rude at first, but it's like get comfortable with talking in that environment and then find somebody you want to go up and talk to. And then there you go. Like you're just already in that mode. Make sure they have their coffee first though. Cause like,
true, but it can be overwhelming. And I guess like, that's the point that gets glossed over a lot from people because like somebody like yourself who's been in the industry for a while and you've been around all of these brands, somebody who's not used to that walking in, like even myself last year, I've been around motorsports a bunch and big companies before that, but walking into a hall full of brands, YouTubers, and all that stuff, it can be intimidating until you break this, like you have good relationships with people and then we have conversations, then all of a sudden now you're comfortable and again, you're talking with the right people or people that you didn't think you'd be talking to 20 minutes ago. So, but it's definitely a little bit difficult to break that ice. I could definitely say having somebody there that you're comfortable talking with will make it easier. So you're not just shelled up.
Yeah, it's such a small thing. Like whatever you need to get your confidence going before walking in is huge. I mean, like I'm not going to sit there and be like, yeah, go hit the bar for an hour before you walk in, because that's probably not a great look. But
probably not.
But I mean, something though. Like just try and make it as like familiar as you can. Whether like whatever your morning ritual is normally that makes you comfortable, try and simulate that as much as possible before you go in. And find something that's comfortable. And if you don't know anybody and like you can't call anybody, go find a brand that like you're fully aware of all their products and just go talk to them about their product. And go give a testimonial. Say, hey, I really, really love what you've done. This is what I've got. This is what I'm doing. And next thing you know, now you're talking about your race program. Like it's a pretty good segue to get into it because you already know that brand. You're not necessarily cold approaching somebody because you already feel familiar with what's going on.
Yeah. And like I said, if you're comfortable, like myself, car parts, right. And manufacturing and fabrication, like that, like talking to people about building stuff made me comfortable to go around it and do the rest of the schmoozing. But I was still shelled up a bit last year. It's a bit of a shock for somebody that like has never gone. Like a lot of the drivers that we have in the Discord or that have been watching your TikToks and stuff that are coming up, like I suggest if you can make the meetup, come together so that everybody can at least get comfortable. And then, like I said, we either all go our separate ways or check in throughout the day. Like we're there for 3 full days pretty much. Right. So
yeah. It's supposed to be 2 and then it turned into 3 quite quickly. Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely excited. I know you and I've talked, like there's a pretty full agenda of things between go check out, like we're going to check out Grid Life State of the Grid to go find out what's going on with everything Grid Life, because I just want to know. Yeah. And those, they're awesome people. So like keeping up to date with that whole series is a good idea for anybody. I mean, whatever you're into racing wise, whatever you're into racing wise, even if it's like dirt track, like go see what Grid Life is doing to understand like what is possible in the racing and lifestyle industry.
Well, and they grew so much this year, especially coming off of like, the quiet years where nobody could do anything. That is like, they just hit the ground running this past year and they crushed it. So definitely a place to check out. I'm excited about that. I'm excited to just see like obviously Formula D stuff, see if there's any new cars being unveiled. Hopefully we'll see.
I don't know of any.
I don't know, but can always hope.
Yeah, I don't know of any. I mean, we checked out Alec Robbins' car last year. Dylan Hughes's
Mike Powers
diesel. Yeah, Powers' car was there.
Yeah.
I don't actually know. Now that I think about it, I've been too busy on like the business side of stuff.
That's why I'm secretly just hoping that we walk in and there's something that, you're like, I didn't know this was going to be here.
Yeah. Federico, we hung out with Federico Schriefel for a little bit. Yeah. There was quite a few FD cars. I think Justin Pollock's car was there. Now that I think about it, there was a lot of FD cars there.
Right. But they weren't all together. It was like all at opposite ends of the center, right?
Yeah. I know I've started in the PRI app, like building out how the weekend is and places that I want to go and stuff too. But I think Thursday, it'll basically just be mostly with Hurst and spending a lot of time working with him. Simon was supposed to come, but he can't make it. I had a call with him tonight. Just he's going to be down in Florida. Like it couldn't make it happen. But we'll probably still find some time to do some work for him. And then, obviously meeting up with people we already work with. And then see what other business we can more or less get out of it, because it is a good business opportunity.
Are there any of the presentations that you are scheduled that you want to do? Go and watch?
So the Grid Life one for sure. There was another one about, I think, sports announcing that I wanted to check out as well. I think it might overlap with Grid Life. I'm not sure. Yeah.
I haven't even looked at the list. Two. It's terrible, right? Like I kind of somewhat am leaving it open to be surprised. But
yeah, I'm sure on our drive there'll be a lot of like, okay, we should do this and we should do that.
That's what we did last time. Yeah.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. Yeah, I don't know of anything else major. I know I've got a bunch of meetings and people I have to talk with, and there's going to be some fun contract negotiation stuff, which I'm excited for. There's one client where I'm presenting new pricing and new services. So that's kind of cool.
Hopefully goes well.
Yeah. I mean, I think it will. I mean, it's not like it's cold. And then there's one big deal that I'm hoping to all but close at PRI. Like basically the idea is we had a meeting with him, and I apologize to everybody listening. It's like, I really, when we can talk about this stuff, 100% we will, but it's like, can't put the cart before the horse, can't, and it's just, it's like a jinx.
It's what it is.
I say it now. Yeah. But yeah, there's one that, I think you already know about it, but it's a conversation we had this week, hashed out most of the details. And now it's just like, okay, hopefully we go to PRI, they're going to know their budget for the year. And then it's like, okay, this is what they're willing to spend. And then we can be like, okay, this is what we can do for that amount of money. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot. I know it's going to be tiring. I'm hoping that we get some time to enjoy it. But yeah, we'll see.
I think that's part of the enjoyment though, too, is running around. Like we're both, guys who enjoy working. So
yeah,
it's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how else to phrase that, but I think that it'll be a good time, and like last time we had to cram everything into 2 days. We got there late, right?
We got there like 11 on the first. Yeah. I think we did Friday, Saturday, but we didn't get there until like 10 or 11 a.m. on the Friday. And then it was like everything we could do, dinner, next day. Yeah, we slept in because we were both beat, and then it was like 4 or 5 hours, and then dinner at the deli, and then it was gone. And it's like, yeah, this time at least now I know we've got a dinner Friday night or Thursday night. I'm pretty sure we have a dinner Friday night, and then Saturday night we've got our meetup. So there's like 3 meals covered already.
Nice.
So, and what I want to do too, like I tried booking go-karts. I've been calling all the time,
that's
and they just
sold out.
I don't think it's going to happen. But what I want to find out is Speed Academy or Gears and Gasoline or any of those guys going to have a meetup. So if you do know, I mean, let us know, drop a comment on something, because I'd be very, very excited to know if what those guys are doing.
It's too bad about the go-karts, but go-karts always seems to be sold out, I've been karting in like 4 years.
I did go-karting the first year I went to PRI, and actually, I don't even think I raced. I think I filmed it. I'm almost positive I filmed it, but who was it? I can't remember whose meetup it was, but then I ended up hanging out with the Gears and Gasoline guys afterwards. It's the only reason I bring it up, because they're buddies with Dove. And then there was 2 other Speed Academy. I don't know. There's another group of influencers that Dove knows that we hung out with as well. But yeah. But yeah, like I said, for anybody listening, I think, the Thursday morning, we're going to grab coffee, or at least hang out with coffee. And then after that, Friday, nothing really planned. Maybe we'll set up some kind of lunch. And then Saturday for sure, I think it's going to be around 2 or 3 o'clock. We'll head over to Shapiro's Deli, do a meetup there. But yeah, check out the links in our bio, check out Discord, and then that's probably where everything's going to be more or less up to date. So
yeah, I mean, and we'll try to update it while we're there. But I would say keep your eye on their stories at that point. It's just, that's probably going to be our best way to keep everyone up to date, because
I think I'm going to be, that might be in your hands. I think I might just have.
That's why I'm saying it, because because I'll be making you make stories and TikToks.
I know, I'm so bad for that. Like every event I'll go to something and you're like, hey, what'd you shoot? I'm like, honestly, not enough or anything sometimes. It's so tough. It's so tough sometimes.
But that's part of what's difficult for drivers too, right? And
Oh, I know.
that's why we push drivers to, like, even if you have a buddy with a camera or who's got his phone, just like, don't be shy. Ask him to take some pictures and video. Like, anytime you're at
Yeah.
an event, you need that footage because you never know who's gonna want some pedigree of what you're doing. Plus, you never know what's gonna happen, right?
I mean, all I can tell people is, you know, how I got in with it, and essentially I just traded my services to NV Auto at the time and Riley Sexsmith and Pro 2, and just said like, hey, I'll film everything for free if you cover my expenses. So like it cost them, you know, what, you know, 4 rounds, so like maybe 20 meals and a couple of plane tickets. I drove with them for most of it. I think there's only 2 flights I actually took. So it's like that's what it cost them. But
And
they
there's
got
no
vlogs
better
and
way to
everything else.
learn than to just do it.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, it was an incredible experience. Like I owe so much of what we're doing now to that. I mean, we wouldn't have ECU Master, we wouldn't have any of the accounts associated with that. I would not be here. We would not be doing this if it wasn't for those 2 years with those guys. Like yeah, I can't express enough like what those 2 years of doing that did for me and for the company and for everything else. Like it made the company. It really made the company. So,
But that being said, you still had to work your butt off while you're there, make the most out of the time, right?
yeah,
Like they're giving you a way to get in, so you still have to provide those services for the client that's paying you, and then try and find a way to drum up extra business, right? Which is
yeah,
probably the harder part, I would think.
yeah. I mean, I made it clear when we were having these discussions, and I said like, hey, you know, I can do all this stuff, but like, I still need to make some money. Like, are you okay with if I pick up other contracts? And the only thing they said is like, as long as you don't miss anything of what we need, I don't care. Because like, you know, when I was going out and shooting, I'm in a lot of cases, like the old St. Louis layout, you're stuck in a box for like 6 hours. And you're getting cars going by. You might as well capture as many as you could. And I would sell that to companies, sell that to drivers, sell it to sponsors, whatever. And like, that's how I made money while I was at those events. So yeah, for anybody listening, I don't know if, well, I mean, I guess we can talk about it. This is a bit of a, it's not really an exclusive, but I mean, we're now in the process of like actively hiring a videographer and editor for next year. I mean, some listeners to this might already know because we posted at a local event or local page, I guess, for
Yeah.
Lake Erie Speedway. Because a lot of the filming is going to be at Lake Erie Speedway, but the rest will be FD and then potentially Grid Life, potentially, you know, other stuff. They might have to follow me around. Maybe I'll start getting a vlog going if I don't have to shoot and edit it myself. But yeah, if you know, I mean, if anybody listening is interested, if you do, you know, if there's something you want to do, I mean, it's a full-time paid gig. Basically starts in March. My plan is to keep them on throughout the winter as well. Like, I think there's going to be such a backlog of footage. And I mean, there's so much B-roll that could be turned into stock video. Like, I mean, there's years and years of video that could be turned into B-roll, like stock footage. So that's basically my plan with it. But if you are interested, head over to the website under the company tab at the very bottom. There's like job applications. Please fill it out. Don't DM me. Don't try and find my email. Just go through the proper channel. Cause I even just posting that, I already had a couple applicants come through, and like the way that I'm organizing these is through that. Some people didn't listen to the instructions and DM me anyways. And I just told them like, hey, please just follow the instructions. Nothing, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like,
No, but
I
again,
have to organize it.
it goes back to making it easier for the person whose attention you're trying to get. Same with like, make your content easy for us to look at. Like if we have to go and dig for your socials or dig for proof of your video editing capabilities, there's less chance of it going well, I guess.
Yeah, well,
It's
I mean,
a lot easier if you take your best stuff, your bangers, and here's who I am, here's where what I do, here's where I'm located, and if you're willing to travel and all that stuff, and then your catalog of work. Hopefully not just B-roll shots. Stuff of moving cars would be great.
Yeah, I mean that's going to be definitely key. I mean, the one guy who sent us like a whole portfolio page. It was easy. Like we even in the meeting this morning, we went through it. We're like, hey, this is what we're seeing. This is what we like. What we don't like. What would be an asset? What would be a concern? And it was really easy in our daily meeting to go over that and figure out, okay, is this a guy that we even send an editing test too. And I had a call with him today, went through all of it, seemed good, but like, I don't know until I see his edit. And
Yeah.
I'm also like, honestly, I'm not going to pull the trigger on anybody until I've seen like 10, 15 edits of the same footage. Cause I need to know, like, this is not a small decision. Like, this is somebody who is going to be the creative face for several companies and potentially a couple of drivers. So it's like, it's not an easy thing to hire for.
No.
It's so yeah. Anyways, I'm also just super picky with editing. Even my own.
I was going to say that's the main part of it. It's the pickiness, and I'm no pro at editing by any means, but it's like I know what I don't like seeing. I guess is
yeah.
Right. Like I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, you've like critiqued my work. You're like, dude, really? And I'm like, what? And you're like, you did this. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll go back and fix it. So, oh man. But yeah. So if you are interested, ZZX.digital, ZZX.digital, believe it or not, that no .com, no .ca, not
no,
like
not
that's
digital.
what it is. Yes, because I had to be bougie like that for some reason. It causes more problems than it solves, but it's cool as fuck.
I was gonna say, yeah, it's cool, but it always causes problems. Everybody goes, I sent it to .digital.com. Like what?
I registered that and forwarded the emails because it became an issue. So
there we go.
But yeah, under the company at the bottom, fill out the form. That's it. Cool. I know we want to try and keep these to an hour. We're actually doing surprisingly well.
We're doing good.
I'm shocked.
Us being on the video topic is perfect segue into the last thing we wanted to talk about. Yeah, I beat you to it.
Good. Oh, that's so good.
The Hoonigan, the Electrikhana video.
Yeah. So what? Give me your first. Like we've talked a little bit about it, but we haven't really talked about it.
So the weird thing was when it came out, neither of us, it was not on our radar. I think it came out and I sent it to you. I was like, did you know this was launching today? And I just think it's because we had blinders on. But my initial impression of it was, honestly, Audi spent a lot of money. That was the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
Good for them. I'm an Audi fan, so I'm all for it. But I just, when I saw it, the fact that they shut down the strip, I don't care what time of day it was or anything, like there was some money thrown around at this. Yeah. So
I would love to do the breakdown of what their cost per 1,000 impressions were. CPM.
I was gonna say cost per scene of the video, like cost per frame.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously go right to like the marketing data. Yeah, I think, good on Audi for doing that. Obviously, everyone can have their opinions about electric cars. I'm totally fine. I've been through like the entire cycle of this at this point. Like
yeah,
you do like begging, trying to barter, like denial. I've been through all of it.
Yeah.
But
you cannot deny what is cool, and ripping down the strip at 100 miles an hour is cool. I don't care what you're driving.
Yeah. Now, would that have been cooler?
And whatever.
Would that have been cooler with the Hoonigan? Maybe. But there's also things that they
tough
probably
call, right?
couldn't have done without that car, right?
Like burnouts inside of an entrance to a hotel. You can't do that with methanol fumes everywhere. Like there's no way.
No. And that could be part of the reason why they were able to do it is like, hey, that's a huge fire hazard. Yes, I'm fully aware that electric cars are fire hazards.
Yeah, I was going to say,
please, Philip, like don't jump down in the car. Don't jump down my throat on that one. But yeah, I it's tough. They've made so many of them now, and we've seen more or less the same things. There is a limited number of things that you can do. That part is tough. I like that they're upping the risk based on location and the flex based on location, right? So that's the part that I look at it. I do think Audi did a good job with that. Like they went in. It is a Quattro that the car is, if I'm not mistaken. I'm hoping not, because once again.
Yeah, I get
God
like it was
built, a car name wrong.
It was built from what I gathered based on like the heritage of the S1 Quattro, like the old Pikes Peak Audi. It was kind of a throwback to that. So it is, I don't want to say dual motor because there's probably 4, but it's all-wheel drive.
It's all-wheel drive. All the wheels are spinning.
All the wheels turn. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I like what Audi did with it. I think it, if they were to use a brand new Audi doing that, I don't think it would have gotten the same attention. No. I like that this is like one thing that maybe I'm like going way too deep, but I guarantee this was thought about and talked about in a meeting, is that they released it before SEMA. And that way, because there
wasn't an accident.
I said this. I'm like, I'm gonna go look for marks. Like I want to go fucking scavenger hunt Vegas for all the shooting locations. And I know people that did. People showed me at the show. Oh, look, cool! I got the shot of the this and that. And I'm like, that was smart.
Very much so. Like
I don't know how far ahead it was. Recorded.
But it brings you into the brand. Like it connects you with the brand, right? Because that's what everybody wants out of something sensational like that. Is I'm at the corner where he almost hit the wall. Like you just.
I mean, this is kind of a morbid comparison, but it's like the X on the road where JFK was shot. Like my dad, when he was in that area, went and stood. Like, there's a picture of him standing in the middle of the fucking road on this X. I'm like, why? He's like, because like I grew up. This was this was a monumental event, and I'm here. I'm in the place. Like and people forget about things like that. That like that it's not, nostalgia is not the right word, but it's that taking something that but like physically connecting it to a memory or something like that, right? I mean, an example of this was like when we did what we did with Hearst with the 360 video, where you could stop at offices pits and see what it was like to be in the car. Like it took something that you
VR,
saw. Yeah, with the VR, where it's like you took something that you could see, but it wasn't visceral. It wasn't, it wasn't anything that you could be tangible or be a part of. But then the moment you did that, you're like, oh, I feel like I'm here now. So I in that regard, I think it was smart. And I know people are like, oh, it's just a coincidence. Like, no, like
I don't think so.
No, that company's too
brand big. Like brand like Audi. There's not a whole lot that's a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that there's no other cars on the streets except for specific niche Audis. Like, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
So
I'd be curious, even like with billboards and shots like that. I didn't go that deep, but I wouldn't be surprised if they had billboard space or selectively cropped out things to do that.
We'll have to do one of those watching the video at 0.25 to see all of the extras.
Yeah. Actually, that's probably not a bad idea. We should do that.
Dissect
Did you catch all of these things and the
donut media style?
Please no. I mean, nothing against those guys. It's just that's not me. That's just not me. Hey, look, you can't deny what they've done. Whatever you want to go back and you can shit on James Pumphrey all you want or think like these guys are dumb. I think he's still around. I know he had a heart attack, which doesn't surprise me because that dude goes hard. Like that, like you can't yell into a camera all that many times and not have some sort of cardiac problem. Like,
right.
Yeah.
I haven't paid too much attention to it lately, to be honest. Again, we get so deep diving. I'm too focused on user generated content.
Well, it's tough. Like we definitely get jaded by some of it, which does suck. Like, I mean, I don't follow enough of it because I'm so inundated with all of it all the time that it's like, it's there. I know it's there. I can reference it in a lot of cases, but like to keep up on everything that everybody's doing is impossible. Like super impossible.
It's hard enough just the drivers that we worked with.
Yeah, just to keep up on their stuff.
Yeah.
And like what they're doing and making sure that like, if they're getting tagged and stuff or featured and stuff, like we'd watch everything FD ever put out to see if Simon or Jonathan was in it, because like we can tell that to sponsors, be like, hey, your logo was in this video. Like that seems like such a dumb thing to some people, like, oh, you're just like part of this commercial, but it's like
it matters. That's exposure, right? Yeah. And that's big exposure too, right? So
I can't remember what it might have been, the preview for Irwindale or the documentary or something. It might have been the Rockstar documentary where like the main clip that was running was when Jonathan was dooring Osbo at Irwindale
in the G37.
Yeah, and we're like, this is
that's
huge,
the Rockstar
like,
thing, and they kept replaying it.
Yeah, and it's just him just dooring him. It was so good. Such a good clip though, because you got like the fire. It was so good. Yeah. I got goosebumps. Like I love shit like that. But yeah, like we're so not inundated, it's the wrong word, but like we're so preoccupied with what we need to be obsessed about at work that like sometimes like I really don't watch a lot of car content out of what we need to do to keep doing what we do. I know you do. I know you keep up
yeah,
on
I was
a lot
gonna
of
say
stuff, but
I still do. Like I usually have a lot of that stuff running during the day.
yeah.
A lot of times too, it's to see if brands we work with appear in these videos so we can so we can use it for promotion, right? And that's
Yeah.
but you're right. I don't watch as much of it as I used to because
Yeah.
you know,
It's just tough.
fatigued
I
almost.
know.
You get
Yeah, my day, like consumption wise, is so much marketing stuff. Like I have like 4 marketing podcasts and like 4 newsletters that I subscribe to, and it's just like constant. And then
yeah.
because like I don't want to come into a lot of what we're doing with the car mindset. Like I want to come into it with mindsets from other industries. Mostly, to be honest with you, because a lot of the marketing in the automotive world is generally behind other industries. Like the adoption of TikTok is still not huge in the industry. I mean, we're definitely pushing with all the clients we work with. We have a lot of plans in place, and some of them it's gone over really well. But like, there's so many other brands. Who was it? There was a large brand. It's like a Nestle or something like that that just did a whole world in Roblox. Like,
Really?
yeah, and like people are like, oh, that's dumb. It's for kids. It's like,
No, it's not.
no.
That's really smart.
Yeah, it's like that's your
Kids
man,
are your
you're
largest audience, right? Like if you, yeah,
you
all those kids
have
want
to.
Nestle chocolate milk now. So
Yeah, exactly. Like you're basically, I don't want to use the word like breeding or grooming because like neither of those are great terms to use, but like you're conditioning them to know and trust and love that brand
that's right.
before they become a buyer. And then once they do, then it's really easy. I mean, like cigarette companies used to do that, and like they had comic books and the Marlboro Man, and like eventually we caught on. Like, oh, they're grooming kids. Like they're they're making these kids become smokers before they can ever reach for a pack.
Yep.
So like from a branding perspective, as long as you're, I guess morally, like as long as you're selling things to those kids to hopefully make their lives better as they become adults, I'm all on board for it. I mean, there's definitely a line in the sand. I mean, that being said, like the automotive addiction is probably one of the worst ones out there, but way worse things you could be doing with your life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think that's like, it just shows like how I get not behind the automotive world is, but like there are so many things that I have learned from other industries that we've then transitioned over to what we're doing here. Like, even like skateboard sponsorship stuff and the way that those guys have gone big, or looking at like professional gamers and what they do and how that could relate to a driver running sim rigs and like logo placement on gaming equipment and on monitors and jerseys and chairs. And it's like all of that can relate to driving, all that can relate to streaming because it's not that different. And
which
like
if you are a driver and you're not driving all year round because you live somewhere with snow, sim and stream it, please.
Yeah.
You'll thank me later. Just do it. You don't have to, even if it's not to a whole lot of people. It's such a big part of, it's going to be an even bigger part of automotive industry, I think, as well. But it's such a growing segment that if you have the pedigree behind yourself, that you're an actual driver, an actual track that kind of mentally puts you ahead of other sim drivers. So you're taking your off season and putting it to use, getting extra content for your sponsors to use. Like I said, put your sponsor stickers on your sim rig or whatever. It's just, we don't see people doing it enough.
No, that's perfect. And a good transition into the final thing that we wanted to cover, which we didn't actually talk about. So something that I've wanted to do for a long time. Kyle and I discussed it. I think he thinks it's a good idea. Yeah. I want to shout out small creators. I'm hoping this podcast gets huge. Obviously, I hope this becomes massive and that this becomes something where people can see an actual impact. So if you are a creator of some kind, if you're a race car driver specifically, or you're a small automotive brand and you want a free shout out, email us podcast at zzx.digital, no .com, no .ca, podcast at zzx or zzx.digital. And just the letters, like, if you can't figure that part out, I mean, marketing is going to be tough for you. email us with links, a quick bio, something that we can do. We're going to go through, we're going to try and do these as linear as possible. Obviously, like if you're selling stuff that we can't promote legally or it doesn't match a lot of things, understand that we might go past it. I may even email you and be like, hey, seriously. But I think it'd be something cool to do, something that I really want to do.
And it can be TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever,
Twitch,
right?
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah, it could be Twitch, it could be your sim streaming, whatever it is. Just send it to us. We'll have a look at it. And like I said, we'll promote what we can. Yeah.
We'll leave like a little 1-minute segment, talk about what we saw, maybe what we liked about it. I don't know. We'll do like a quick review of what you're doing, what we found cool. I guess we could critique it as well. Maybe give them a tip or something. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. We'll dive into it.
Yeah, I just want to help. I just want to help out little guys. It doesn't take us anything, and I mean it's kind of free content, so
right?
Why not, right? Also, on a complete side note, I love that you wore your company shirt and I didn't.
Right,
dude.
I was like, I went to go get changed, and I was like, oh, I'll put on my company shirt. He'll be upset if I didn't.
No,
I would have put on my company beanie, but they haven't showed up yet. You know.
I know.
I'm kidding. It's called a toque.
Get those. I know it's called a toque. Man, I seriously. Toque that has, I think it should be like a black on black logo. Like I think it should. Like one of my favorite hats is I won't say what brand, but it's a black hat with their logo on it, and I really like the hat because it's a nice black hat, and then somebody looks at it and like catch it in the right light. They're like, oh shit, that's this company.
But it doesn't like it's not gaudy, right? Like it's not just like right out in your face.
It kind of bugs me sometimes when people sell merch with their logo plastered all over. I want it to have like some value to it. So that's where we talked. Like, I do think that maybe even if we wrote on the front, like in white or on the back or somewhere that you can
in the fold or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in the fold would be good. So you like flip it down and it says it's a toque, not a beanie. It's called a toque, not a beanie. Yep. I think that would be hilarious.
Then you have to pick which spelling of toque. And then that's a whole nother story.
There's more than one spelling of toque.
Yeah.
3. I guess that's why you're the writer and I'm not.
I spell it different every time I put it on in hashtags just to see if anyone notices. Yeah.
I love Easter eggs like that. I do it
all
the time.
I was thinking this earlier today that we should do another run of Easter eggs with some kind of something in it. It was fun doing that. I know that it took a little bit for people to catch on, but for me making it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think we're conditioning them now. Conditioning, that's the word I wanted. Not grooming, conditioning. Yeah. Well, if you're listening, keep an eye out because Kyle and I both really like hiding stuff. I hide our company logo in almost every video that I edit. Like it's somewhere. You can go back and check like Hearst videos and Olsen videos and stuff. Like it's in there. So it might be as simple as like on the car. It might be that I change the logo out on his racing straps. Happens all the time. I've gotten really good at motion tracking. So... Cool, dude. Yeah. Do you want to do any shout outs?
I was going to shout out. No, not for me. I was going to give a shout out to our mutual friend, Brian, because he told me to mention to you to come visit him in the holidays to try out his sim rig, the sixed off. He's very excited about it and wants to get an opinion from someone other than me because I'm over there a lot. No, just somebody.
Not that I'm more educated.
Just different. I know that he wants to work on getting some professional drivers down as well that we can try and figure out. But it's
one of the guys from the Discord who is also a Twitch streamer. He's moving to Lansing, Michigan, so we might be able to make that work because he's got both real world and
sim experience.
So, but I mean, his stuff on Twitch and everything else is Punju. Super great content. Absolutely hilarious guy. Does some broadcast work as well. So I guess maybe that's our first shout out. But I want to give him like an official one because like he definitely deserves it. He comes into all of our courses and stuff.
He's very active in the Discord, right?
Yeah. So, Nubifier on YouTube.
Everything. Yeah.
He's our buddy Brian. Everything Nubifier. Great content. One of the coolest man caves you'll ever, if you're into tech, it is God tier. Yeah. It's so good. You can tell he doesn't have kids because like everything is
just cats. Yeah.
It's so just cats. Yeah. Cool. Do you want to do any shout out stuff?
We'll save it. I don't have anything. Okay. Yeah. I don't have anything recent because I slack on my own stuff.
I know.
Just like
that's the hard part. When you, I know I'm so bad for it. When you work on everybody else's, it's hard to do your own.
That's
right?
it.
Dentist teeth are always bad.
That's the way it
Mechanic's
goes,
car
right?
is always broken. So yeah.
No, I got to get to simming in the next couple of days, and maybe I'll film some more of that. But
sick,
see.
Cool. Well, for everybody listening to the first one, if you made it this far, really appreciate it. Make sure to check out the Discord if you haven't already. Follow up on all the TikToks. Check out our Instagram. I feel like our Instagram does not get enough love. You work your ass off on that. That is like the hidden gem.
Yeah, I mean,
once you go there,
we
you'll
mix
know.
it up between the reels and the content, but Instagram's where you're going to find the most Easter eggs. Just saying.
Yes, 100%. And like stuff that we've even put in like months ago, we'll just reference later on.
Yeah.
And I really like the writing that you guys do between you and Jess, like on that, like the business stuff. It's good. Like, I don't know how you're able to take some of these photos and then somehow turn it into like a business idea, but it works out really well.
That part's easy. It's the
color grading.
No, like that part's not too, I'm getting better at it, right? It's not writing the same stuff all the time from the same perspective because I'm so automotive based. That's where Jess helps out a lot, right? Because sometimes I forget that this is also marketing for drivers and businesses.
Yes.
Not just drivers. So
cool. Well, dude, I'm super happy we're doing this for everybody.
Yeah,
listening.
finally we got it done.
Oh, dude, we're like 1 hour on the dot. Oh my God.
And this means I can put out our TikTok tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
About
well,
this.
I got clips about it. We're good. I'm excited. That just means you have to publish it tomorrow. So
that's right. No problem.
All right. Anyways, thank you again, everybody, for listening and or watching. We will catch you probably in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? 2
probably.
weeks.